Y'all gonna get sick of me on stage. Wow. Thank you. Hall of Fame, thank you. Some of you don't know, it was 1999 that Lisa and I moved back to Minnesota from Arkansas after directing an organization there, and we poured everything we had into this business. And by that October, we had $1.40 to our name. And we did find an apartment to rent for $350 a month with no windows, no bathroom, no kitchen, but we could walk upstairs and share 86-year-old Clara Miller's. It did come complete with black mold on the walls, and we lived there for 2 years starting this business. And I still remember, before we had kids, I remember sitting on the curb in front of a grocery store with my arm around my wife thinking we don't have enough money to go inside to get food. And I remember asking my brother, should we keep going or should I get a side job? And he said, no. If you have to, I know you'll do it. And this isn't right advice for everybody, but for us, it was. And I'm grateful for that advice, my brother. And thankfully, things have changed a bit. So, I try to look for the 4 directions of gratitude. And I'm so thankful tonight, and I have so many to thank, and I can't thank all, but I first look up, and I thank God. I thank for His grace and the opportunity and the freedom, and just beyond what I ever deserve. And second, I look out and I look at you. I look at those beside, and I look at NSA, and I look at so many, I can't name all of you. And I will ask one thing, Eric Chester, why did it go from 8 minutes to 2:41? Because I don't know if I trust this. We'll see what happens. Anyway, I look around and I think of NSAs, and I want so many of you to know I thank you personally, and I can't name each of you, but you know who you are. And I wouldn't be where I am without people in this room. But some specifics, I thank my struggle mastermind group at my table. I thank the NSA chapter of Minnesota, who has been so kind family to me. Harvey and so many before me that are beside me. I think, my best friend is here tonight, Joe, from rooming together in college to everything we've done together. You've made me better. I thank my closest brother, who from sharing rooms together to sharing business ideas in life, I can't thank you enough. My wife, we started it together, and we really did have nothing. And she said, she was with me. And I still remember, I was scared to death behind that curtain, those early days. And she would be with me before we had kids every time. And I still remember what she said in my ear. David, stop worrying. Just love them. They can tell when you love them. And last year, I'm speaking to the president of Kenya, and the military's around, and the trust issues in Kenya right now. We hope for less bloodshed at this election. And I was scared going up to meet the president and some of the issues there. And right before I go up, just love them. They can tell when you love. And this morning, David, remember, just love them. They can tell when you love them. And so I look up, I look beside, and I look back. And I look back and I think of many that have gone before me in this. Many of you, Zig's befriending, and people that did trust research. There was very few back when we started it. Now trust has become a buzzword, but back then Dr. Reyna's and just a few others were actually doing real trust work, and I'm so grateful. And I also look back and I think of my parents. And I can only tell my story. And I had great parents. And I'm grateful. You heard about my dad. He's the same on stage and off. And his stage is often a tractor, and his off stage is getting off the tractor. But I still remember you, Mom, too. I remember you. if you want to be different, you've got to go the extra mile. And I remember it in homework, and I remember it in everything we did. And I'm just grateful for your love unconditionally and your example to our kids and so many others that don't know what you've done. So I look up, and I look beside, and I look back, and I look forward. Look forward with this message. Somebody asked, what am I going to speak on next? Trust. It's all I do, all I'll ever do, I think. I'm passionate about this. I hope, by God's grace, we can make a dent in the global trust crisis in a positive way. And I look forward, and I see my kids. And I pray you will be trusting God and be trustworthy. And the agony of this business, as many of you know, is loving your kids and being a good dad and a good husband and a good friend, and this call to go and try to build trusted leaders and organizations around the world. And I've given myself to both, and you've made it easy most of the time. So I look forward, I look back, I look beside, and I wanted to say one more, my staff. I wouldn't be where I am without my staff, Ryan, Ann, Reed, Dave, Heidi, my staff. I mean, they make me look better than I am, and they are, we couldn't do what we do there. So maybe for tonight, I leave you with a huge thank you and debt of gratitude to NSA and to all that have made me better and encouraged, and maybe leave you with the words of my wife, Lisa. Those of you that share the privilege of the platform, love them. They can tell when you love them. Thank you.